Issue 226. We start out with Sonic running through Green Hill Zone. What the fuck? We went from Sonic the Death Egg seeing Sally destroyed to this? Talk about whiplash. Talk about distracted. We go straight from Sally being potentially destroyed and white light everywhere to a nostalgia fest appeasing classic fanboys. That came out of nowhere. I literally looked up my timeline to see if I missed an issue because of this. But no, this really does come right after it. Sonic complains that he doesn't remember what was going on, but then remembers that people are missing, and so are animals. When did that happen? Are these fake memories? Since the first panel says in the beginning, I guess I'm supposed to assume, but wait, Sonic has green eyes. So how could he possibly be classic Sonic? How could this possibly take place several years ago? Why isn't Sonic questioning that he's being sent to another place and worrying about Sally and the Death Egg? This is like the issue where Sonic was a detective all over again. Is this an alternate dimension? So he's suddenly transported to another part of the world with no real explanation, and the main character isn't questioning it at all. So we already started out on a really sour note, as this kind of story has no business being released right in the middle of a much more important story arc in the main comic. It should have been its own separate special in Sonic Universe or something if it wanted to be like Green Hill Zone, or better yet, released a lot later. Anyways, Sonic gets surrounded by Motobugs and doesn't proceed to destroy them immediately, instead wasting some time talking to them and deciding to name them Motobugs before freeing the animals. He looks like a total idiot. Just destroy them right away. His taunting of them isn't even taunting, it's so tame and weak. He just asks them their names when they'll never reply. Reminds me of Colors. Then as my eyes are glazed over with boredom because I'm already way too familiar with the games and I'm starved for originality, Sonic rides on a badnik instead of destroying it or being attacked by it, and smashes an animal capsule near Snively, who's implied to have been the one to have captured the animals. And apparently this is the first time Sonic ever introduced himself to Snively. I'd like to remind you all that he has green eyes, so this is either an alternate dimension where the Sonic there always looked that way, or this is some sort of reality switching issue that makes no sense. I'm reminded of issue 101 right now. The only thing original in the story so far is that it's Snively attacking Sonic with the Wrecking Ball instead of Eggman, and that just makes Eggman less contrasted from Bowser and the Mario series in general, because him going to fight Sonic and those Eggmobiles himself was part of what made his character unique from him. After Sonic jumps on an animal capsule, he meets Sally for the first time? But what? What? But this isn't how he meets Sally at all. He was friends with her and all of the other freedom fighters for his entire life. What bullshit is this? I looked at my timeline again and looked up the comic issue on a website to double check to see if this was the reboot. But no, it's not. I guess that should have been obvious since Sally has her normal design. But wow, this is shaping up to be one of the worst issues in the comic so far. This is just garbage. I mean, if you're a brand new reader who literally just started reading the comic with this issue and didn't even read one issue before this, I'm sure you'd love it. It looks like an okay fanfiction novelization of Sonic 1 that crosses over with Sad AM. But for a long-time reader, and even for someone who had read just one issue before this is absolute misery that does the exact opposite of rewarding you for reading the previous issues. Because all there is are massive continuity errors. If this is supposed to be totally separate from the continuity in main comic, then make it a special so we can just ignore it already. And oh look, another fuck you to the long-time readers. Sally calls Antoine by his incorrect last name of, I think it's from Sad AM? Instead of his actual last name, Decolette. I took a break from this issue just to go review that side story of issue 219 that wasn't included in the video of it. And since it was the Sonic Colors adaptation that just consisted of the prologue half-assedly yet again, I didn't have much more fun. So back to this garbage. Sally asks Sonic to join the Freedom Fighters for the mission, with Rotor blaming Eggman for the big earthquakes they've had lately. And Sally calls Robotnik Dr. Eggman. Do you want to be a classic nostalgia fest or not? Where does this story take place? What is it? Sally says I briefly before saying that they need Sonic. So even here she has a crush on him. She's got a reason for respect, but that was fast. Sonic agrees to go with them to Eggman's stronghold as Rotor confusingly tells Antoine to knock it off, and Antoine says he was just making sure the coast was clear. What was he doing? Looking all over the place? You'd think Rotor would show more compassion to his scared friend, being a hero and all. At least I'm getting to see Rotor being worth something again, but I have a feeling he's not going to do anything actiony here. Sally arrives at Marble Zone, which has 3 Jupiter planets in the sky. I guess they're supposed to be the UFOs from the concept art, but they look nothing like them, so I can only assume the sky looks like that because of an overflow of chaos energy, making this zone look like it has a different sky than it actually does. But why is nobody pointing them out? Anyway, Sally says there's an underground passage that runs from the Marble Zone to Eggman's lair. Now I'm pretty sure it leads to Springyard Zone. Sonic is able to figure out the Caterpillar's name correctly right away. This is on the nose. I guess I'm expected to believe these badniks are so unimaginatively named that Sonic is able to guess all of their names by coincidence. But that's still really condescending to my intelligence. He'd get a name wrong eventually, and that would have been funnier. Speaking of condescending to my intelligence, I'm expected to believe that after Sonic saves Sally from a badnik, he's too slow and incompetent to defeat it himself and just stands there so that Rotor can destroy it. Sonic compliments Rotor that this is why they call him Boomer, as he made the badnik blow up. Antoine lampshades that he'd just be getting in the way since he's useless, which is self-aware of him, and sneaks into a cave to hide, just to get chased by bat badniks afterwards. He shouts at Sonic, "Help! There are some bats!" You know what's funny? Bats in French literally translates to bald mice. Sonic defeats the bald mice, and aww, Sally gives Antoine a hug. She says that they never would have seen the ambush coming if he hadn't unintentionally guided the bats to them. First off, why wouldn't they have seen it coming? Was she expecting Sonic would get knocked down and be rendered helpless by the bats because his back was turned? That he's deaf and couldn't hear them? I guess so. That was a really sweet moment. That was really nice of her to hug him and show gratitude like that. So okay, story, you get one. One fantastic moment in the Unoriginality Fest. Sonic glares on in jealousy of Antoine being thanked, as I wonder why the hell Sally isn't thanking him too, since he's the one who destroyed the bats in the first place. I guess she was taking Sonic for granted, and Sonic would be too embarrassed to ask Sally for a hug himself and look like a needy softie. Rotor fiddles around with some wires and says that he's reprogramming the badnik, saying, "How cool would it be to have one on our side?" Yeah, that would be cool! I don't know how making the wires go in the wrong places would reprogram something and not render it non-functional from its electricity not being sent in the right places. I'm pretty sure you'd need to connect something to a computer and use a computer program to reprogram it from seeing its text on a screen. So I'm being treated like an idiot. He could at least use a wireless machine to reprogram it instead. Plus they'd have to fix the badnik first since it's too smashed up to be helpful, since otherwise it'd still be attacking Sonic. And it's just a badnik, it couldn't be that helpful. But it's cool. After Rotor is reluctant to stoop to Eggman's level, the bird Flicky is nice enough to agree to ride inside the badnik right away with no hesitation whatsoever, just because Sally asks nicely. And is a Mobian, so she had every reason to assume that she wasn't working for Eggman since she's a Mobian. Also, they sidestepped the issue of this badnik's clearly broken by having Rotor have already fixed the Buzz Bomber off screen with no materials to fix it with. That was condescending. That's the problem with the TV genius trope. I mean, the concept is unbelievably cool. I'm starting to warm up to this story already, but the execution is just brainless. Sonic asks the Buzz Bomber if he can keep up with him and runs off. There's no point in him asking that if he's gonna slow himself down so that his friends can keep up with him anyways. Sonic continuously spin dashes through badniks, as I wonder how the hell he's lucky enough to never hurt the animals inside by doing so and have a traumatizing gruesome mess as a result. He can't possibly know exactly where every animal is and avoid the area it's in. Then there's another earthquake which exposes a magma plate that surrounds Antoine, Rotor, and Sally with lava. Wait, where's Bunny? Anyways, Sonic jumps in, picks up Sally to save her, and the rest of them get flown out of the lava's way by the Buzz Bomber. And we finally see Sonic's Casanova side again as he flirts with Sally. Is it hot out here or is it just you? I'd rather he flirt with another girl, but it's better than nothing. And I like how Sally's smiling despite her nagging him that it's not the right time. He jokes that sometimes he moves too fast, and as Rotor thanks the Buzz Bomber for the lift, which is sweet, Antoine says please to be the end of the terror, with a question mark at the end for some reason. He's made the same kind of mistake with English a lot so far, but before this point it was more that he was saying, I'm something-ing, or something like that. The reason he makes this mistake is because in French they have the infinitive, the non-conjugated part of the verb, not have their equivalent to the word to before it. So because he had to use the infinitive of be since it was after the word please, he got confused as English doesn't always have to before infinitive verbs. And for the ing thing, French verbs usually don't distinguish between continuous ongoing actions and actions done on a regular basis. They don't have an ing and non-ing form. They'd say stuff like I go to work to mean I'm going to work. So that's why he says ing at the ends of verbs unnecessarily sometimes, like I'm having forgiven you too, for example. He's self-correcting for English. Antoine then says damn it as Eggman finally bothers to show up. Sally... well, either that or darn it. It means the same thing in French. As Sally sees Sonic run off to fight the Marble Zone boss, and Rotor says that there's no one else like them, Sally wonders why this seems so familiar. The Buzz Bomber distracts Eggman briefly as he attacks it, freeing the animal, and then Sonic attacks his Eggmobile. Eggman leaves, saying that he'll plot against Sonic with his master plan, and thinks to himself he hasn't figured out what that plan is, and wonders just what that glorious battle station is for, even though he built it himself. I'm so confused. And why is Sally's text in blue when she's thanking the Flicky? They go into the underground passage, with Sonic saying that being with them feels right. Again, huh? Is this an alternate dimension or not? The story ends with it not being over yet. This issue is by Ian Flynn. I guess this is how the reboot could be done wrong. Okay, it's an alright fanfiction Sonic 1 crossover Satayama, I suppose. But this is only a good story on its own, however. Within the context of the story, this story really bores me. It outright angered me at a lot of points, because they're trying to pretend that Sonic never met Snively and Eggman and the Freedom Fighters before, and this is his first adventure, even though he has green eyes. Meaning that either this has to take place after the issue where he gets them, or this is an alternate dimension. But then they go and confuse me by having Sally say that Sonic and Eggman feel familiar. And I assume it's not a meta joke where they're joking that we have Sonic 1 imagery feel familiar to us. So is this an alternate dimension or not? This is a film noir story all over again, but worse because at least that story was nothing but originality from beginning to end. This is just a rewriting of Sonic 1 with SatAM characters. I could find that on fanfiction.net, I'm sure. If this is supposed to take place in canon, the main comic, then explain why the hell Sonic's suddenly in the situation, not questioning it right away, instead of making it really annoying for even someone who read just one issue ago. If you want to have a Sonic 1 adaptation so badly to appease classic purists, fine, but do it separate from the main comic in a special, and have the main comic continue from where it left off. Don't confuse the heck out of me and punish me for reading previous issues. What's the point of getting Antoine's last name wrong? And it sure is a coincidence that Sally's wearing her Jalala gift vest already when she first met Sonic this time around. When I try to like the story for what it is, it's alright, much better than the original Sonic 1 story. I love that Rotor reprogrammed a Badnik to help Sonic, causing it to fly Antoine Rotor away from some lava. That must be the strongest Buzz Bomber ever, because it can lift Rotor no problem. But the way that he reprogrammed it by moving its electricity carrying wires around felt condescending. Maybe I'm wrong about this, I have no idea how reprogramming is actually done, but I'm pretty sure messing with wires would just cause a short circuit or energy outage instead. He could have reprogrammed it with a handheld electronic device instead, like Nicole. And what was much more condescending was that he fixed the Badnik after it was broken off screen without any materials to do so, completely sidestepping the issue with that. Oh, I also loved when Antoine warned everyone about the bats, Sally hugged him and sweetly thanked him. That was so heartwarming, but I kinda wish that Sonic would get hugged too, or at least some appreciation since he was the one who destroyed the bats in the first place. The only bit of originality I hate is that Snively fought Sonic when it should be only Eggman, since having a lackey be the boss fight is Bowser's shtick. and it's way too early for Sonic and Sally to be crushing on each other. But whatever, people find each other attractive on first sight all the time. It just feels really on the nose when they're the official couple and it's that fast. And where the hell is Bunny? I take her over Antoine. Same goes for Nicole. I hope this arc ends in the next issue, because the big problem with this is that it has nothing to do with anything. Just like issue 52, only not original.